Okay, so it's time for an update on Dollar Bill Guerin, which is honestly quite the nickname now that I think about it, because that was the nickname that Kirll Kaprizov was given during the regular season and in the bubble, because he was so gosh darn good for the Minnesota Wild. And they were just like, okay, yeah, he's cash, you know? He is fantastic, so we're gonna give him the Dollar Bill Guerin nickname, and now it's like, oh wow, that's really what's happening here, right? Either way, we have ourselves an update as to the entire Kirll Kaprizov situation here, and it comes to us in the form of Bill Guerin, the Minnesota Wild general manager himself, going out there and giving his own opinions as to what this situation has gone down to. Now, you can kind of already tell from the title and the thumbnail of this video what's going on, but I felt like it would be appropriate to just go ahead and make a video discussing this entire situation over here. If you're new, you need the rundown. Kirll Kaprizov, fantastic NHL player. He was a draft pick back in 2015, spent all his developing years in the KHL. He was with CSKA Moscow. He was with Team Russia at the World Championships, the World Juniors, the Olympics, Olympic athletes from Russia he was a part of as well. He was an absolute monster, and he made his way over to the NHL this season, where in 55 games played, he had 51 points. He was absolutely fantastic, and the Minnesota Wild had not seen a rookie as good as Kaprizov since Marian Gaborik, and Marian Gaborik, I mean, he was a very good NHL player. So, for Kirll Kaprizov, he was a guy who won the Calder, was the Rookie of the Year. Now he needs another contract, and the entire situation goes as follows. Hey, he might be threatening to go back to the KHL because the money that he wants with the Minnesota Wild is very particular. The Wild wanted to go long. They wanted to sign this guy for 8 seasons because, hey, if you become the next Artemi Panarin, we want to have you for the next 8 years at a dollar amount that seems laughably low by the time the contract expires. The reason we have a problem here is because Kirll Kaprizov believes that he can be the next Panarin, and as a result, he's like, yeah, no, I'm not signing for 8 years. Screw that, sign me for 5 years. That way I can get a really big payday when 2026 rolls around, for example, because I know by the time that day comes around, I'm going to be one of the top players in the league. I'm going to be so good. You think I'm good now, Minnesota? Just wait till 5 years in the future when my next contract expires. The situation got even uglier when the KHL came in, and apparently the rumor started circulating that Kaprizov had a 1-year deal with CSKA Moscow in place. A deal which Russian journalists, Russian sports outlets were talking about, saying, yeah, no, that's a big bluff. There's no way that's even possible. He's going to re-sign with the Wild. Well, here's an article from Sportsnet talking about what Bill Guerin said about the entire situation over here. He is unfazed by the threat of Kaprizov returning to the KHL. Take a look at the quotes right here from Bill Guerin. He says, "It's not my decision. It doesn't bother me at all, the entire KHL threatening situation." He says that things are going well enough with Kaprizov and his camp, and that we continue to move forward. There has been constant communication with Kaprizov's agent, and Guerin says that the Kaprizov deal will be longer than Kevin Fiala. Now, Kevin Fiala had himself a 1-year contract handed out to him just earlier this week. So we already know that Kaprizov's contract, just based off of this comment right here, is going to be longer than a season. Take a look at another tweet over here from Michael Russo. The Wild are working to get unsigned RFA Mason Shaw signed, and of course, Kaprizov. The Wild's 7- and 8-year overtures do not seem doable anymore, so the hope here is that the Wild get him signed to somewhere between 4 and 6 years. The Wild do not seem worried by the KHL threat. Back over to the Sportsnet article over here. Per the Daily Faceoff's Frank Saravelli, an agreement will kick in with CSKA Moscow if a new deal doesn't materialize between the Calder Trophy winner and the Wild by September 1st. So that is our deadline over here. Now that I think about it, it's actually August 17th as I record this. We have ourselves just over like a week and a half pretty much before the deal is supposed to get done, and that's not a very long time anymore now that I really think about it. The Athletic's Michael Russo also reports the Wild have offered the 24-year-old Russian 7-8-year deals in the $9 million per year range as talks continue with progress being made towards an agreement. But he rejected those offers, Russo said. Here's another tweet from Michael Russo, a reply to the initial tweet we saw over here, the KHL threat tweet. Clay asks, "Hey Russo, what do you think Kaprizov will sign in years and money?" Russo's prediction comes out here, and he says, yeah, I think it's going to be 5 by 9-ish. No, not $5 million for 9 years, but $9 million for 5 years. So Russo is predicting that the entire Minnesota Wild 8-year deal AAV is going to be applied for only 5 seasons because they really want to go out there and keep this guy, given to his demands, and say, okay, you really want to get that bridge deal, don't you, Kirll? You really want to go out there, get $9 million a year or X amount of $1 million a year for 5 years, so that when you're 29 years old and you're one of the best players in the league, you have 100-point seasons under your belt, you can go out there and get that big $12+ million payday. You know what? We got no choice. We think, we know, we want you to be really good, so we're going to sign you to the amount of years that you want, and we're going to go on our way because we just want you to be that good, and we want you to do it while wearing our sweater. At the very least, though, the Wild do have about $14 million of cap space to get that done. It's just, what happens after that, and where do you go in the future when Kirll Kaprizov does need another extension? 5 years is 5 years, so it is not right now, but 5 years isn't a particularly long amount of time to lock up a star forward in the league. Next year, though, if you're wondering, when the Wild are going to have to do some more contract negotiations, they've got guys like Kevin Fiala to re-sign again because, yeah, he only got 1 year. Victor Rask is going to need a contract. Jordan Greenway, Nick Bjugstad, Kyle Rau, Nico Storm, Alex Goligoski, John Merrill, and Capo Kakkonen. Furthermore, you have the prospect pool to take a look at as well. By the time 2026 rolls around, who knows how much money you're going to have to shell out to guys like Marco Rossi and Matt Boldy and, I don't know, Marat Kusnedinov and all these other guys that are so gosh darn good in the Wild system because Judd Brackett is doing wonders scouting for that team. But either way, that's our update here on Kirll Kaprizov. The bottom line is that Bill Guerin is unfazed. He is not scared. He is willing to go out there and still talk to the media and say, yeah, we're progressing forward, we're doing our thing, we're going to get it done. And the predictions are starting to come out that what initially was believed to potentially being a, let's say, $9 million by 8-year contract given out to Dollar Bill Guerin is now looking to maybe being a $9 million contract by, 4 or 5 years because Dollar Bill Guerin wants to get another payday by the time his next contract comes and goes. And it's a lot more better to negotiate when you're in your prime, you're 29 years old, instead of when you're, let's say, 32, 33 years old, which is the amount of time it would be if Dollar Bill Guerin went out there and signed an 8-year contract, and he would need that extension then. So the entire KHL thing doesn't appear to be a threat. I saw a lot of people actually going out there and saying, oh man, Bill Guerin should have gone the Ray Shero route with the entire Kaprizov conversation over here and give out a quote that was similar to that one. The reason they say that is because back in 2019, the Devils had to re-sign Pavel Zacha, and these were the comments that Ray Shero made when the question was asked about him threatening to go elsewhere. I don't give a if he signs with the KHL, if he signs with Fing Brampton, I don't give a where. We hold his rights. And then he signed for a 3-year deal with 2.25 AAV a day later. So that's kind of the situation in that particular instance, and I think it's kind of funny the way that went down, which is why a lot of people were like, yeah, no, Bill Guerin should have just said it the same way, man. We don't care. Kirll, you want to go back to the KHL? You're going to have this entire process happen again a year from now with less leverage if you go back to Russia. I don't care if you score 1,000,000 points in the KHL. That's not the NHL, and going over there is going to decrease the amount of value you're going to have in negotiating power in these conversations here in the NHL, so you go ahead, do that, bye-bye, because we're still going to hold your rights. That could have been a boss conversation kind of move right there. But either way, talk to me in the comments what you think about Kirll Kaprizov, the KHL not being a factor in the negotiations over here, the bluff being called by the media, and apparently being acknowledged by Bill Guerin and the Minnesota Wild as well. Also, where do you think the real conversations are going to go? How much do you think he resigns for with the Wild? Does he get that $9 million AAV by 5 years like Russo is anticipating he'll get? Or does he get a little bit less than that? Let's say he gets 4 years instead. Kaprizov right now is 24. If he gets another contract at 28 years old, dude, that guy could have even more leverage compared to what a 29, a 30, or a 31-year-old could get. So talk to me in the comments all your thoughts about this. I hope you enjoyed this. Josh 99. and bye.